It's really lovely to be back here. I was just walking up Hatton Garden actually, and I lived in Victoria Halls for 2 years, my first and my second year, and like all of these memories just came flooding back as I was walking past, and I really did have such an amazing time here, and everything that I've done since I've left John Moores is really down to my experiences that I had here as a student. It's really unusual to be on an all-female panel, can I just say, particularly working in politics and trade unions. I'm normally the only woman in a room at times, so it's a real honour, and they've obviously done things specifically with their psychology degrees, doing psychological things. And I think my story is a little bit different in that I primarily used my time, I'm primarily using my experiences as a student rather than my experiences that I got specifically from my degree in what I've done since. So obviously, once I got here, I pretty much got involved with student politics straight away. I don't know how that happened. I turned up at the student union. It was a very different time then as well. There was queues round the block to get into the student nightclub, and I know that doesn't happen anymore because I'm back as a trustee of the student union now, and they seem to have changed. It's changed so much in terms of the programmes it does, campaigns it does, and student life has changed an awful lot since when I was a student. But my degree has been useful and it has been relevant because a lot of the things that I do are around campaigning, communications, political messaging, trying to negotiate with people about various different issues, lobby politicians, work out what messages are going to work in the press, and all of those are really key things that you learn through a psychology degree. So how people judge you when you first meet them, body language, how people shape their values. So it's much more of the kind of social psychology side of it. But certainly what I learned in terms of people and people's behaviour has been absolutely invaluable. Whilst here studying, my lecturer, David, who is absolutely fantastic, was really always quite lenient about my engagement in student politics and was really supportive. And so I was involved with the student union, got elected as a women's officer in my first year, and then ended up taking a year out of my course to be Vice President Welfare. So rather than doing it at the end of my degree, I did it halfway through my course here. That was the year that the government then proposed top-up fees. So raising it, I know it sounds like pennies to you guys now, but it was £1,000 a year when I started, and then we were trying to campaign to stop it being raised from £1,000 to £3,000, and now it's £9,000, and it just makes me balk really at the thought of the kinds of debts that you guys are going to be in. And actually, I did manage to combine my campaigning on student issues with my degree, because I ended up doing my dissertation on the psychology of student debt. I wonder if it was rerun now, what the actual impact would be, and whether it would be worse than what I found at the time. The government trying to introduce top-up fees made me massively angry and got me involved in campaigning on a national stage. And when I went back to my second year, at the university, I got elected onto the NUS National Executive Committee, so I did that part-time alongside my degree. And Blackboard, is it still Blackboard? Was really useful when I wasn't going to my lectures quite a lot, because I was down in London at NEC meetings and things. But you know, I think those kinds of experiences and what I was learning doing that was actually really useful for my degree as well and my own confidence. After a number of years hacking about the student movement, I did get elected to be the NUS national president. So I was representing 7 million students in further and higher education. Every single university has a student union, so do the colleges. And I was actually the first president from a post-92 university. So before that, pretty much all of them would come from red bricks, or actually mostly Oxford and Cambridge. And so that's quite, if you think that most modern universities became them in 1992, so it's 21 years now that's happened. That's actually quite a long period of time, and it just shows kind of the level of elitism and access to university and those kind of opportunities being afforded to different students from different universities. So whilst at NUS, I sort of obviously had to do loads of student campaigns. We had to meet ministers of state and lobby them on student issues. I did a lot of international visits. I went to Israel and Palestine. I had some amazing opportunities. I went to South Africa and met students there and learnt about apartheid, and all of the places, all of those experiences I never would have had, honestly, if I hadn't have done extracurricular activities as a student here. Getting involved, getting those experiences, volunteering. I set up a nightline when I was here, which was actually using my psychology degree as well. All of the things I did extracurricular-wise led to me being able to be elected and run a national student movement. When I left NUS, I then went to work for Million Plus, which is a small higher education think tank, mostly lobbying on behalf of modern universities, and I ran their press and public affairs operation. So again, running campaign plans, trying to get laws changed, working with government and opposition parties. And after that, went to work for the TUC, where I now work with 53 trade unions in the UK, representing all sorts of people, psychologists as well, health workers, probation officers, every single type of teacher. So yes, we represent 53 unions and around 7 million workers again. And at the moment, it's really, really busy because the government seems to be cutting everything. And I have to run campaigns to try and stop them with varying degrees of success, I'm sad to say. But it is a really, really busy time with some massive, massive challenges for the trade union movement, but also for kind of working people, for families. I'm also responsible for organising, those massive those massive demonstrations that happen through the centre of London. I'm kind of responsible for those as well. So the last one that we ran was actually on my birthday, but it was the biggest birthday party I've probably ever had, with for 300,000 people marching through the streets of London. I did make my friends make me a happy birthday Gemma banner to have on the demo. But that was, so the kind of skills in terms of negotiating and liaising with the police about the routes, making sure that there's no trouble along the routes, and all of the logistics around that is quite serious to do. I'm really involved in the Labour Party. I'm an active campaigner in my local party, but also nationally. And I am also now a trustee, as I said, of the student union here, because, as both of you said, it's a amazing university, and it gives everybody so many opportunities, and the student union gave me so much when I was here, and now I feel like at least I can give something back by being a community trustee and helping the student union go from strength to strength, and the student experience here for all of you improve as well. And I'm also a trustee for a small international development charity called Kick for Life, which works in Lesotho with children who have HIV and AIDS, using sport to kind of break down barriers and taboos and get to their families, and using sport to sort of educate them there. So quite busy. But every day's a new challenge, and I would say that in terms of tips, mine would be get involved in whatever you can, grasp every opportunity that you possibly can. Your CV does need to be rounded. I didn't think I would end up here. When I started my psychology degree, I thought I wanted to do psychology and be a psychologist, and this all just happened by accident. But I love it, and it's great. And so if you are getting through your degree and you don't necessarily think that you want to go on and do a master's and a PhD, and that you might kind of be done with studying, but you don't know quite what to do with your degree, it is a great degree to have, to be a kind of generalist degree. It can basically apply to absolutely anything you want it to, and there are elements of it that that you'll be able to use for the rest of your life, doing and whatever you do. I do still have nightmares about SPSS. That's haunted me and was probably one of the reasons why I didn't carry on anyway, further studying. But David was wonderful. So, you know, think about other things that other things that you might want to do if you don't feel like you want to go down the path of further study. And there's so many areas in which you can kind of go and do some campaigning work. You could go and work in policy. I do a lot of policy work and research, and as Michelle was saying, those skills that I learned here doing my degree are so helpful when working out what the arguments are around a campaign and what the public policy angle should be on, God, what am I doing at the moment? Older women in the workplace, which sounds boring, but it's actually really interesting. I would urge you all to join a trade union, because it would be wrong for me to stand here and not. So do join your professional bodies. If you are kind of doing any work, be it part-time work or whatever, do join a trade union, make sure your rights are represented. And if I'm quite happy to answer any other questions, but it does seem a bit odd me standing here talking about student politics and NUS and campaigning when you're all doing psychology degrees, but the degree you choose doesn't always lead to what you thought it would when you started, and I'm a complete case in point for that. But it doesn't mean that you won't be successful, and it doesn't mean that you won't have made the most use of your degree, because I feel that I have, and I still do every single day.